Hello, everybody. Scribbler Johnny checking in. And if you enjoy my channel, please be sure to like the videos that you enjoy and subscribe to my channel. Tonight, we have another Japanese spooky story. This one is the Tale of Oiwa from Yotsuya Kaidan. Oiwa was a beautiful young woman who lived in a small town. Her boyfriend's name was Lemon. Though he didn't have much money, Oiwa loved him very much. She was overjoyed when her childhood sweetheart asked her to be his bride. After the wedding, they moved in together, and the happy couple were soon expecting. Oiwa did not care that Lemon was poor, but as time went on, he began to get depressed and angry about his lack of prospects. Lemon soon grew to hate his happy young wife, and he began to have an affair with a rich young woman whose name was Ome. He romanced her for a few months. Eventually, she fell in love with him, despite his poverty and the fact that he already had a wife. One day, Ome's father came to see Lemon. He told Lemon what a shame it was that he was already married, because his daughter loved him very much. And her father went on to tell him all the ways that he could ensure his future son in law's prosperity and wealth. Lemon listened intently. And then Lemon spent a great deal of time thinking about what the man had told him. And an evil plot began to form in his mind. He decided that the only way he could marry Ome was to somehow get rid of Oiwa and, of course, their unborn child. And he thought the easiest way to do that would be to secretly poison his wife and make it look as if she had died of natural causes. Poor Oiwa. She was totally ignorant of her husband's murderous plans, blissfully unaware of the fate that was to befall her. She continued to be a happy young wife and preparing for the birth of their child. Now, this must have been during a period of time in ancient Japan when monogamy was the law. Anyway, one evening, Oiwa and Lemon were sitting down to dinner. She noticed her husband was preoccupied, seeming nervous. She encouraged him to eat his dinner, but he would not touch his food. He snapped at his wife and told Oiwa to stop fretting and to eat her own food. She needed to be strong for the baby, he said. Oiwa finally gave up trying to encourage his appetite, and she started to eat her own dinner. It wasn't long before she felt very sick, and Lemon watched her coldly as the poison did its work, not offering her any help or comfort. But Oiwa did not die right away. Her beautiful face twisted and became disfigured from the poison first, and then she slipped into unconsciousness. Lemon was too much of a coward to finish the job he had started, so he put Oiwa's lifeless body in bed. Eventually, Oiwa woke from her coma. She remembered nothing of the poisoning. She had lost her baby, and her face was terrible to look at. But Oiwa lived. Lemon was desperate now. He played the part of the concerned husband, but he was looking for any way possible to rid himself of his loving wife. One evening, he took Oiwa for a long walk. They made their way to a cliff, and Lamon looked around to see if anyone was nearby. There was no one in sight. Lamon pushed Oiwa off the ledge. Her broken body was recovered, and Lamon gave her the best funeral he could afford, spending all of his money in a great show of marital devotion. Of course, Lamon knew his money troubles were only temporary with Oiwa finally gone. Thinking his worries were over, Lemon planned his wedding to Ome. The night before the marriage was to take place, Lemon noticed his bedside lamp dimming. He looked at it curiously as it seemed to be changing, and the disfigured face of Oiwa suddenly replaced the lamplight, growing larger and larger in the room. Betrayal, it hissed. Lemon grabbed his stick and swung at the face. But Oiwa vanished, and he hit the lamp, and it smashed and fell to the floor. Lemon thought he heard faint laughter and a female voice from outside. Shaken, Lemon convinced himself that the vision was simply the result of drinking too much earlier in the evening, and went to sleep. The next day, Lemon had forgotten all about that spectre from the night before, and he and Ome were wed. When he lifted her veil, however, her beautiful young face was replaced with Oiwa's twisted visage. Betrayal, she hissed. The horrified Lemon drew his sword and swung it at the ghostly apparition, cutting off his new bride's head. The severed head rolled down the aisle, and when it came to a stop outside the church, it was the face of Ome and not Oiwa. And again he heard the faint sound of laughter. Lemon fled and ran to his tiny house, looking for some place to hide. There was a pounding at the door, and Ome's grandfather demanded that he open it. When Lemon did so, Oiwa was standing there. Betrayal, she hissed. Once again, Lemon tried to decapitate her, but when his sword finished its work, it was his father-in-law, grandfather-in-law, that lay dead. Lemon ran for the cliffs with Oiwa's laughter following him. He stopped at the edge and he looked down and perhaps changed his mind. But it didn't matter. Someone reported seeing a woman push Lemon off the cliff before jumping after him, laughing all the way down.